Hi, it's Veronica with the Crafty Oasis. I just wanted to share the film strips that I made on Canva. So these are intended to look like old school films, like if you developed the film from the camera and got the negatives or on a film reel. I just wanted to go for that kind of vintage vibe. Also, I've really been craving having printed photos of my family. It's just nice to have that intangible form. I actually asked for a photo album for Christmas, so I intend on filling that with regular 4x6 prints. But if you're interested in making a film strip like I did and learning how you can do that, then stay tuned and I will give you the tutorial on Canva. Okay, so once we're in Canva, we're going to open a US letter document, which is 8.5 by 11. Then we'll go to Elements and select Square. I choose the one that popped up first. That allows me to manipulate the size, shape, whether it has a border with a solid center or border with a transparent center or no border. And then what we'll do is take that square and stretch it into a rectangle, almost the length of the page. Then go ahead and insert another square, and you'll want to shrink it down just a little bit by using the little circles in the corner and keep it a square the best that you can. It does somewhat divert to a rectangle shape, so you might have to manipulate it a little bit to keep it a square. And then once you get it to the size that you like in the position, you can duplicate it. And Canva's really nice because sometimes it'll predict where you want it to be duplicated. So if you notice that when I duplicated it, it went down that line, which is where I wanted it to go. But then I realized I needed to resize it a little bit so that I can fit the little squares that will make up the side of the film strip that just makes it look a little more authentic. So we'll duplicate that all the way down. And then I'm using my mobile device, and honestly, on the mobile device, it's my preferred method of using Canva, except when you have to group a lot of images together. So, for instance, when we do the little side squares, trying to group all of those 10 or however many it ends up being squares together on a phone is difficult because they're so small, it's hard to actually grab them. So you're seeing me just playing with the positioning, and now I selected or inserted another square, shrunk that down, and this is making up the ones on the side that I was just referring to. So we'll go ahead and get the shape and position of that we want so that it's centered kind of in the middle of the border. And then we'll go ahead and duplicate that all the way down the length of the black rectangle in the background. And let's see. Okay, so we'll continue duplicating that. You will see in a moment that you want to group all of those together. This allows you to move them, like just straighten them and center them all at once versus individually. And then you can go ahead and group them and duplicate that line of squares on the left and then just add it to the right as well. Okay, now that you have that other line of squares duplicated, you just want to center on both sides and make sure it's aligned. You can use the align tool if you go up to the top once you select the image. I just prefer it this way. I feel like I'm really good at eyeballing at this point, but it's up to you. If you prefer to use that, you can align things vertically or horizontally. So just play around with that and see if you like it. You can always undo things if you don't like how it turned out or it wasn't positioning it exactly where you'd like it to go. So I'm just making sure everything is centered where I want it to be. And then the next step is to insert your images. But before you do that, I'd recommend grabbing a square frame. So a square frame will have the square, and then it'll have like a cloud and hill background as you see. And that's really important because what that does is once you adjust its size, as soon as you bring the image in and bring it over that frame, it actually takes that picture and adjusts it automatically to fit in that frame. So you don't have to play with it as much as you did the other squares. You can also just bring in the image and resize it. It's up to you. I will end up deleting the frame squares later, but it does help. Because honestly, I realized that the white squares were actually not necessary. I just wanted those to be like the place marker for the frame. But as you go along, you make iterations and make changes to suit your design. So I'm just grabbing my pictures right now. And the nice thing about the square is that it doesn't really matter if the picture's vertical or horizontal. It'll fit it in there pretty nicely. And I'm just grabbing some pictures of my family and I was trying to incorporate everybody, so making sure that I have a couple with each child, and my husband and I, we don't have a lot of family pictures, so it's actually nice to see some with us in there. And the frame is also nice because it automatically centers. When you grab that picture and you put it over, it automatically centers it in the frame, so it's just less adjusting and gives you more of a polished look. Okay, so now once you get all your pictures in there, you just want to make sure that they're all positioned how you'd like them and you like the way it looks. And once you do that, the next step is to actually go ahead and save this one strip as a JPEG. I say JPEG because I don't really want the transparent background, even though I may have actually done a PNG file, which does remove the background on this particular step. But it did work out. I would recommend the JPEG, but you can do either one. So save that to your device, and then what you'll want to do is go ahead and upload that back into Canva, and I'll show you that step in just a moment. Okay, so once your first film strip is downloaded as a JPEG, you'll want to go ahead and now upload a new image into Canva. So you'll go select that film strip image that you created. You may have to remove the background by selecting the image and then tapping on background removal. That is a paid feature, so if you have the free version of Canva, you cannot do it in there. So you may want to remove the background either in your photos, on your device, or in some other way, however you normally remove a background if you don't have the paid version of Canva. So we're just positioning that second film strip where you'd like, and just making sure that it's spaced out. You could even shrink both of them down if you wanted to making sure that the first film strip that you did was all grouped. You could shrink them down to fit more on the page. I just did 2 for the purpose of recording and demonstrating. So now what I'm going to do is we're going to print. For me, I used cardstock, so when I print, I download as a PDF print, and then on my printer settings, I change it to photo matte paper, and I always increase the print quality to best, and that is sent to my printer, and you'll see that it's going there. And the reason why I did 2 strips on top of each other was really just to demonstrate as well. That's to kind of capture the screenshot that I used as my thumbnail. But when you're printing them, I would suggest doing it side by side, because that will actually give you 2 film strips. So if you thought this was helpful, be sure to share, and also I would love to see your designs on Pinterest at Crafty Oasis Designs. Thank you so much.